I'm Ben. There's a lot of home brewing videos out there. I'm going to take you through my brew session today on my equipment and kind of what that looks like. So here we go. I'm kind of all set up here. I'm ready to start my water. Okay. I'm using filtered water. Okay, so I'm on a city water line. So it does have chlorine, so you need a carbon filter to filter that out. Unfortunately, I found that one out the hard way. Okay, if you're doing all grain brewing, you definitely have to have a water test done, which I've done. I know with this recipe where I need to be with my water. Okay, I've already done that with a mash chemistry calculator. I have my water additions here. Here's my pH kit. Okay, so we'll test that about halfway through the mash. Usually I'm spot on or well, close enough for the beer we're drinking, right? Got my ingredient sheet. I've already weighed out my grains, okay, and it's ready in my monster mill. So got 12. Or we're doing a Sierra Nevada celebration ale in preparation for Christmas here coming up. Okay, so I got 12 pounds of 2-row, a pound and a half of 60 Cara 60, and a half a pound of Cara pills. So we'll get into this. I'm really excited today, okay, because I got my new pump, okay, which I haven't brewed with before. I'm really excited. I got my new valve added on to the brew kettle, so we should be able to recirculate that water. It's going to help bring the heated water to the top of the kettle. It should hopefully heat the water faster, be a bit more efficient, use less gas, things like that. It's going to help with chilling and doing the Whirlpool at the end. But really what I'm looking forward to is doing a nice Whirlpool edition at about 170 degrees for 15 minutes and having a Whirlpool. So I'm going to take you through all that today. This is Ben's brew session. Here we go. So this is my filtered water. I got my little rig set up here so I can control it. Okay, I always let it run off for a little bit. I always let it run off for a little bit out of my my hose just to make sure I'm getting good filtered water. All right, and we're hot. So I'm going to go ahead and get it going here. That's going. And I like to multitask. And we're going to keep that low for now. Done multiple sessions on this. I know just below the rivets here for the handles that I'm at 7 gallons. Okay, this thing ends up with, after boil off, I'm sitting at 6 gallons, and then after fermentation, trub and everything, I'm about 5 gallons clean into the keg. So I do brew-in-a-bag here while I'm using a single kettle. Again, we're going to go through all that, and I'm going to show you what that looks like, and again, what it looks like for one of my brew sessions. Get this topped up to, I'll probably go just under 7, being the fact that I got about 14 pounds of grain. That looks good. Okay. With brew-in-a-bag, you do higher than the ratio. 1.5 quarts of water is 1.5 to a pound of grain, something like that. I do higher than the normal ratio that you would because I don't have a sparge. So with brew-in-a-bag, you want to get as much water in there as possible, so you don't lose those fermentable sugars. So we're probably just under 7. So I'm going to go ahead and get my pump set up here. And then turn my heat up. Okay, so these are all cam locks. I just built this stuff and tested it the other day. Seemed to go pretty well. Okay. You want to make sure you open the input side of the pump coming off your kettle all the way open. Alright, so all my flow is going to be regulated off the output side of my pump here. We'll see what that looks like. Alright, so it's circulating water again, so I'm coming off my bottom valve here. It's outputting into this top valve, so I'm pulling that, hot heated water off the bottom of the kettle and, just circulating it, so hopefully it'll heat up faster. I can go ahead and get quite a bit of heat on that now. It's a good kettle. It's got the tri-ply bottom on it with the aluminum sandwiched in, so it does really well. You can see here, it's getting a really good whirlpool in there and kind of where my valves are placed. So it should be doing pretty well. And we'll watch that. As we got to get up to mash temp, I'm going to go ahead and time it as well. Alright, so I'm at about 62 degrees right now. We'll see how long it takes me to get up to the desired 153 for this, for my single infusion mash. Before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and add my water additions. So I got 3 grams of calcium chloride, which isn't coming out. Okay. I got 6 grams of gypsum. Okay, so that's all ready to go. That's going to go ahead, heat up. I'm going to go ahead and mill my grains, get those ready to go. Okay, so that's all wrapped up. Let's get the dust off of there. Alright, that's going to be ready to go all milled. It has been 32 minutes, 48 seconds, right? And I am now at 156. Okay, so I should be good to go ahead and throw my grains in. So with brew-in-a-bag, you don't need the typical like 10 to 12 degrees over like you would with a typical mash, because you have much more water volume in there. So your grains aren't going to crash it as much. So we're going to go ahead and get my bag in here and get my grains going on the mash. So not too bad a time. Not too bad a time considering I had to stop and fix a fitting. It had a small leak in it as well. Had some water on the floor, so with that, right, make sure if you're running a pump or anything, electricity, run water that you're plugged into a GFCI outlet like I am over here. Okay, so my bag's ready to go. On, okay. Sometimes you gotta stop and stir, sometimes you don't. It's not too bad usually to get it worked in. Right. Love the smell of beer in the morning. Technically it's wort, but alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and move this around good. Make sure I don't have any dough balls. Alright, there we go. Alright, so I'm exactly right at 153, which is exactly where I'm trying to mash at. Usually I like to be just a degree or two higher when I start out, so I don't have to monitor it as much. But I'll take it for now, it's not too bad. So I'm good there. Let's start my timer. We're going to mash for 60 minutes today. Alright, now, since I don't have like a cooler or something that this is going to go into, I'm going to do everything I can to retain that mash temp. For my 60 minutes, I'll probably have to come out and heat it up again at some point. Okay. Some people use an old sleeping bag. Right. find that this works just fine. Okay, like I said, I'll probably have to come out and stir it and okay. Not too bad, so we'll go ahead and check on this periodically in the next 60 minutes. About 30 minutes we're going to draw some of the mash, or yeah, some of the liquid off, right? And we'll check the pH on it. I'm at 28 minutes left right now, so about 30 minutes I pulled off just a small bowl of wort, okay? So I can test my mash pH. So it's at mash temp right now. I need to get it down to 75 or so, so it's just going to sit here and cool by itself until I'm ready. But I'm going to go ahead and also set up my pH meter. So I have just a cheaper, simple pH meter, right? So this is not an automatic temperature pH meter. Those are really expensive. This thing I think I got for 28 bucks, 30 bucks, right? But usually you got to calibrate it every couple of batches. So I have some 7.0 pH solution, and then the 4.01 solution, right? I don't adjust this thing every single time, and I don't test the pH every single time either. Just every once in a while I'll just come in just to make sure that my water profile hasn't gotten crazy. But I've been looking at this, right, and I'm actually a little low. It's cold out here, so it's already dropped to, I'm at 74. That's close enough for me, so we're going to go ahead and check it, right? Running out of time on my mash here, so. Alright, so I cleaned it off again with just distilled water. I'm going to go ahead and stir it into my wort. Oh, there was 5.3. There's 5.4. There we go. Again, we verified our mash pH. We're just a titch low, 5.3, but we're definitely within range. We're not, way low at like a 4 something or way high at a 6 something, because you definitely notice that. Literally just went off, so we're at our 60 minutes on mash. All right, just before I pull this off, she's creeped down to about 151 or so. Nothing I'm too terribly worried about. That was just in the last maybe 10 minutes. Okay, so there it is. And so I don't really do a mash out. I will go ahead and start running the heat though as I get my bag and stuff out of there. So this is my highly technical bag lifting device. Okay, so this is 550 cord. Okay. Right, and I just got this on a hook in the ceiling. Okay. I'm pretty much ready to go there. I'm going to go ahead and get going on heat again. Not putting my face off. Okay, not going to get too crazy on that until I get my bag out of there. Slowly lift my grain bag up and out. I got to be careful because I got my thermometer in here, and okay, right, and I want that wort to drain out, but I don't want to raise it to the point that I'm getting like aeration in hot wort. Yeah, I don't want to like get crazy on this or anything, squeezing. But I do want to get, that wort out of there. Okay. What I like to do too, not really like a sparge or anything, and this ain't at sparge temps or anything, but I'm just going to kind of get a little bit of water, and I'm just going to rinse. Kind of get some So I've pretty much gotten what I think I'm going to be able to get out of the grains. Again, I'm not trying to press the grains. I'm just kind of trying to move them around and get clear water to rinse all those fermentable sugars and that wort out and into my kettle to keep my efficiency up, and obviously be able to retain those fermentable sugars. So I think I'm where I need to be. I'm going to go ahead and top it up to my rivets again, which is my 7-gallon mark. Okay. This is actually like the most awkward and difficult piece, is dealing with it with the grain bag. But time-wise and everything, I like doing the brew-in-a-bag. You're in a single kettle, it's less equipment. And then also you're not losing about an hour in sparge time. It's not as clean per se, but it all works out in the end. So I've rinsed my grains as much as I can to try to get all that fermentable wort out of them, and I'm ready to bring this up to boil temp now while I let this last little bit kind of drain out of there. Okay, so after adding that little bit of cold water, I've dropped to about 150 degrees. I just started my pump back up. I've got it dialed down here. I'm not trying to, I don't want to aerate the wort and create an off flavor. I'm just trying to transfer that hot wort up again to help heat it faster. Just got a little bit of rotation on it. I've turned my heat up, and we're going to go ahead and see how long it takes us to get up to boil temp at 7 gallons. So we're coming up on boil temp right now, so I'm going to go ahead and kill my pump. I'm going to close off both valves to my kettle, so I don't want to recirculate during my boil, and I don't want hops in there. So I went from mash temp, 150, 151 I think we said, and I'm at 29 minutes. And we're right at boil. So my first edition, my 60-minute edition on this is going to be 1 ounce of Chinook, which I don't have, so I'm subbing with some Columbus. Okay. Let that calm down just a little bit. You gotta watch right when you get your first hop addition and you're coming to a boil, or you're just at a boil. Sometimes you get a boil over. Not so bad when that happens in the garage, but when it happens on the wife's stove, it just never goes well. So we're where we need to be. I'm going to back my heat down. I know right where I need to be to keep it at a good steady boil. And our next edition is until 15 minutes. So we'll check it out a couple times and we'll come back in 15 minutes. Alright, we're at 15 minutes left in the boil, so I have my 15-minute addition here. So we have 1.5 ounces of Cascade and 1 ounce of Centennial. Go ahead and put that in. And Whirlpool really only calls for a half tab, but breaking these things up, it just goes everywhere, so I usually just do a tab. They're cheap. Give it a good stir. I'm going to go ahead and weigh out my additions for steep Whirlpool. We are almost at 2 minutes to the end of our boil, so I need to sanitize my chiller, and I want to make sure that I sanitize what's going through the pump as well. I'm going to go ahead and start with a pump here. Open both of my valves. Back that down a little bit. Start my pump. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and throw my chiller in. Of course, this stuff's all been cleaned up and everything. It's just trying to make sure it's sanitized. So all set up and ready to go. That's cold, so I'm going to turn it up a little bit just to make sure I'm still boiling. About a minute left. So I got my Whirlpool additions for hops, which I'd usually throw in right at flame out, and just let it be and let my chiller go. But now that I have my pump, the exciting thing is I can actually crash this to about the 180, 170 mark, which has been identified as the optimal temp to be able to extract the hop oils without actually boiling off those oils, so you can retain that fresh hop flavor. And then I'll be able to whirlpool that for the 15 minutes with my pump. So we're not going to know until we taste it, but we're in the process right now. Okay, so we're done. 60-minute boil's complete. Go ahead and turn off heat. Okay, go ahead and turn the water on for my chiller. So I have my pump circulating the water with the Whirlpool arm in one direction, and I swapped my hoses so my chiller is actually pushing water through the other direction, kind of like a counterflow, almost like counterflow chiller plate. But this is an immersion chiller. We'll see how it does. I think it's going to crash pretty quick, and yeah, it is. Plus, it's 28 degrees outside, so I'm sure groundwater's pretty cold. Oh yeah, that's coming up. That's coming up really fast. So I'm just watching my temp here, hitting 180. It's about 178, so I've cut it off. I am right at 170, which is exactly where I want to be. So this is an 1.25 ounces of Cascade and 1 ounce of Centennial. Okay. Our Whirlpool hop additions are in. I'm right at I'm at about 168 now already. Okay, so I'm going to set this for 15 minutes. I'm basically just going to let it go, and it's to extract all those oils. We're coming up on our 15-minute mark right meow. Alright, figure that out. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn on my water to my chiller again. Okay, and we were holding right at, we dropped down to about 158 in that 15 minutes. As cold as it is out, I'm pretty happy with that, and I'm fairly certain it achieved what I was hoping for it to. So we're going to go ahead and start the timer here and see how long it takes with the pump now and the immersion chiller. I'm sitting at, we just hit about 11 minutes, and I'm at 60 degrees, which even just a couple of weeks ago, with it being pretty cold out, I wasn't able to hit that, even with the colder groundwater. So the pump's definitely doing what I hope to achieve with it, and getting down to pitching temps very quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and sanitize up my fermenter and the end of this hose and everything, and then go ahead and pump straight into my fermenter and get my yeast pitched. I'm ready to transfer into the fermenter here. So I'm going to have the end of this into the fermenter. I'm not going to go all the way in there. I haven't really quite figured this out yet of what's going to be the best approach, but I've sprayed sanitizer all over the end, so it should be fairly well sanitized, so we're just going to go for it here. Pretty quick. I'm going to go ahead and turn my pump on. Well, that's definitely going to aerate it. Yeah, I might have to do a hose on the end of this to... Oh, I don't like doing this because I'm going to end up with just capturing all the bacteria in the air. So I pumped everything over to my fermenter here. All right, so this has been sitting in star sand. I need to oxygenate my wort. Okay, you can do it with an aquarium pump. I got a little bit as I pumped it in there. But I like to use pure oxygen because it doesn't take long. Okay, so this is just with a stone. About 30-45 seconds is all you really need. That's based on stuff from yeast. It's all done. Sanitize my scissors. Okay, this is just a US-05. Okay, so been doing a lot of dry yeast. It's a little bit cheaper, way more cells. This is the same as a 1056 strain or with Y yeast or the California ale with white labs. People say to warm it up with, or put in a little bit of warm water. I just direct pitch it. Never had a problem. I'm just going to give it a good stir. Get my yeast in there. And that's it. This will get brought in where I can keep it semi-temperature controlled, and it'll ferment out until we're ready to keg. Okay, so on the refractometer I'm at 1.064. We'll take a look here and see where I'm supposed to be. Actually, that's exactly where I'm supposed to be. So, figuring at 75% mash efficiency, I should be at post-boil gravity of 1.064. So, have my number like exactly. So here it is. Fruits of the labor. You know, takes me about 4 hours, and now I'm going to go ahead and start cleanup, which is always the worst part of your brew day. But that's it. Thanks for watching Brewing with Ben.